Welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation verse by verse to see what it is we could expect to happen and what it is we should be doing in the end times. And as we've gone through this book, I want to remind you, this is episode 123. So we've gone through verse by verse from chapter 1, verse 1 on to where we're at. And I just want to take a moment and say we're at a place in Revelation where we're looking at the harlot, Babylon, and the beast, and we're really trying to understand some very complicated figurative things that mean literal things. So I want to remind you, I recommend you don't just jump in on an episode. I highly recommend you go back and verse by verse, or you study Revelation out verse by verse with somebody else or by yourself. Because oftentimes what happens is people jump in, they'll grab a verse, and they'll kind of suddenly become experts, and it really confuses the issue, and the true mysteries of God are just kind of blurred out because we want to jump in and say what the media tells us or what our pastor maybe has told us, or people that really haven't taken the time to go through Revelation verse by verse. So just a little reminder there at the beginning here. So where we are in this book is as far as the timeline, we're at the very end. We're right before Christ's return, and we're introduced. So there's just this pause in the story, and an angel comes up to John and says, "Come, I will show you the judgment and the justice of the harlot, who is made up of a lot of people, cultures, religions, different tribes, tongues, all sorts of races. And this harlot has committed sexual immoralities with the kings of the earth, and the inhabitants have been made drunk on her sexual whoredom," is what the Greek words literally mean. So then he's carried away into the wilderness, which we learned last time is a lonesome wasteland, not a beautiful wood setting or a lonesome wasteland. He's carried off into a lonesome wasteland where he sees a woman sitting on a scarlet beast. And just pick it up right there, Revelation 17, verse 3. "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement." Now we're going to stop there. Last time we talked specifically about the golden cup. What is in that cup? It's the abominations. It's the sexual immoralities. It's the wickedness. It's the murder. It's the sorcery. It's the false idols. It's the satanic and demonic things that this giant people group or this nation is engaging in, and she's literally drunk on the blood of the martyrs. Now, last episode kind of said we're going to split this into 3 things. We're going to talk about the woman, and then we're going to talk about the beast specifically, and then the mystery. But I want to take and I said we were going to go on to the beast next, but we kind of need to stay on this harlot for a bit because I don't want to blast past the things that John is seeing and really truly understand it. So we're going to take 2 more episodes, one more episode on the harlot, and then we're going to go to the mystery next, and then we'll talk more about the beast. But this harlot, what John is seeing is the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. And again, last time we talked about the golden cup. But let's talk about what she's adorned in, because what we're looking at, this beast, these are figurative things. We have to look at the Bible as some things are literal and some things are figurative. And what John is seeing in the Spirit is a figurative things that represent things. Like, for example, we learned a few episodes, the waters represents the many tribes and tongues and nations. And these pearls and precious stones and gold and purple, these represent the gluttonous spending, the riches of this nation. This gluttonous must have everything, the best of everything that this nation is. That's what she is literally adorned with. And we see that. We jump ahead. Again, we don't like to jump ahead sometimes just to see things make sense. We do. So we're going to jump for a second to the fall of Babylon. 18 verse 11, the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. merchandise of gold and silver, precious stones and pearls, fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet, every kind of citron wood, every kind of object of ivory, every kind of object of most precious wood, bronze, iron, and marble, and cinnamon and incense, fragrance and oil and frankincense, wine and oil, fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and chariots, and bodies and souls of men. Now, this is what it's literally at the cost of the souls and lives of men. This nation that we're talking about engages in gluttonous spending, and glutton must have the finest purple and reds and precious stones and jewels and chariots and anything we can think of that this nation must have as we try to narrow down where is Babylon. And then after Babylon is destroyed, we see this in 1815. The merchants of these things who became rich by her will stand at a distance for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing and saying, Alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. So what these are, what she's adorned in, is the gluttonous retail. It's the spending. It's the getting on. Must have this, must have that, must have this. It's things become more important than the kingdom of heaven. Objects become more important than the lives of men and women and the souls of men and women. And we're even seeing that in the church today where literally people are more interested in objects than they are the lives and souls of men and women. And this has not changed. It just has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse as we get to the end of the time, get to the end times, because ultimately what you're seeing is you're seeing the decay of righteousness. You're seeing the decay of godliness in the form of merchandise. In the form of merchandise, and gluttonous spending is at the heart of the fall of mankind. And if we kind of really look at this harlot of just what John is seeing with his eyes, sexual immorality is unlike any, the blood of sexual whoredom is all over the hands of this harlot. We're talking about porn, sex slavery, adultery, fornication. Anything that you can think of is what that's why she's called the harlot, the mother of all harlots, who engages in sexual whoredom is then adorned. So we have this nation that is constantly engaging in sexual whoredom with other countries are engaging with, because most other countries get their porn and their prostitutes and their sex slaves from America, is where they get them from. Most porn comes from America. And I'm just going to say it right here, this harlot, this mystery Babylon, I believe it's America. I think it's very clear. There's nobody else that fits these descriptions. And as we see this harlot adorned with gold and precious stones, we have this whore who is constantly buying. So what we see is this people group, the American people, the Church of America, is engaging in sexual whoredom unlike anything this country has ever seen. And they're engaging in gluttonous spending of objects unlike anything this country or the world has probably ever seen. And that's ultimately what we have that John is seeing. And then what we're going to add to it is, of course, after the warring of the saints is going to be the blood of the saints and the martyrs. So if we go back and we take another look at this, Revelation 17, verse 1. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great whore who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed sexual immoralities with, and the inhabitants of the earth became intoxicated with her sexual whoredom. And again, I'm just quoting what the Greek words mean. So he carried me away in the spirit into the lonesome wasteland, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, on a red beast, which is full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and red or scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand the golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. So you have this people group, this nation made up of different tribes, tongues, different religions, different ethnicities, and they're all participating in this national effort of sexual whoredom and gluttonous spending. And they're just getting intoxicated on the abominations that are coming from this country. And again, this is the first time I actually said it's America. And I've been, I've thought that for a long time, and, I think it's just important as we move forward that this is what I'm talking about. We need to address the truth. As we look around and we look at where is this? What is this sexual whore? What is this abomination that is just adorned in gluttonous spending of merchandise, making the merchants of the earth rich off of her gluttonous spending, and the blood and the souls of men going into purchasing these things? You can't help but say, well, of course it's America. Of course America is Babylon. You'd be a fool not to think that. And especially as we look at the end times, to suggest that Babylon is some ancient city over in Iraq, you haven't studied out Babylon. Go all the way back to the city of Babel. It has been an evil entity, a satanic empire that has, and a satanic thing that has just kind of stayed on the earth from the beginning of time to now. And now we're just staring at this great abomination, the great harlot, the abomination of the earth. So, next episode we're going to talk about the mystery, because there definitely is a mystery here, and it's, we're going to see that God reveals all of his mysteries. So, hope this video helps. Again, I'm not saying it's America to try to offend. I'm an American too. I just open your eyes, look around. I don't think it's very complicated. All you got to do is go outside and look around, and you'll see we are living in Babylon, in the harlot, the sexual impurities, the sexual whoredom, the gluttonous spending, made up of all sorts of cultures, is exactly what we are. So we're going to keep going. There's more to this harlot. There's a lot more to it. The church is part of her as well. As a matter of fact, she's in control of the church, and it gets really crazy. So understanding this mystery is a critical piece. So stick with us. We're going to talk about the mystery next. Love to hear thoughts and comments on all this. Put it below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel to Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.